Hello! So it's another video where you're stuck seeing my face. I happen to have some nice diffuse cloudy day lighting coming through the window, and so I figured I'd go ahead and record a video. I'm doing this on my computer, so it's not quite as high def as usual, but I figured that's kind of okay because a lot of holiday treats and things have left my skin not quite high def ready. So we're just going to go with it the way it is. Okay, so what I want to talk about today is budgeting for your pen expenses in the coming year, right? So it's currently January 2nd when I'm recording this. So it seems like a good time to, a lot of people make New Year's resolutions or kind of, start looking at, okay, this is the year ahead. Let's start thinking about this. So I figured it's a good time to talk a little bit about budgeting. Some of us kind of joke about this. We're like, oh, I'm so bad at budgeting. Oh. Some of us are really bad at this. But, when I sat down and thought about maybe writing a blog post about how much I spent this last year on pens, I didn't want to because it was scary. Like, I started thinking about it and, it was scary. And granted, yes, I sold a lot of pens, so some of that money came back, but then I usually turned around and used that money to go back and buy more pens, except for a recent sale that had to go to paying off some new tires on my car because, being an adult sometimes is hard and you have to make hard choices, but what can you do? So I want to talk a little bit about budgeting, and I'm going to be very honest about what my budget is and kind of use that as an example because I feel like, there's no reason for me not to be honest about what my budget is. You guys are going to see most of what I buy anyway, so why not just tell you what my budget is and what I'll be spending and kind of what I'm going to be focusing on. So I've kind of picked four steps or four things to think about when you're making your budget and kind of ways to be successful about having a budget and sticking to a budget. So the first thing is to pick a realistic number, right? Especially if you're planning for an entire year, pick a realistic number. So the number I picked was $600. Which, when you stop and think about it, I'm like, wow, that's a lot of money. When I was living down in Nebraska, $600 was what I put away every month to pay my rent and my electric and my internet. Like, that paid all my bills except for my car insurance for a month. Or now, I can say, okay, well, that's groceries for 2 months is $600. So that's a lot of money. And when I just say $600, that seems like a lot of money. But the important thing when picking a realistic number, because it's easy to say, oh, I'm only going to spend $200 on pens this year. No, I mean, you can wishful think that all you want, but that doesn't wish it into reality. I like to think in terms of what is that going to break down to per month? Even if you don't spend that much per month, think about it in a per monthly unit, and that will help you pick a realistic budget. So for me, $600 per month, that breaks down to $50. Sorry, I had to swallow. I didn't have to do the math there. Per month, $600 breaks down into $50 a month, which then doesn't seem that big. That's not that big of a number. And I was like, yeah, $50 seems like a reasonable amount to spend every month on pens, and it seems like an amount that I can stick to. So keep that in mind when you are making your budget. Maybe that doesn't matter. Maybe you don't spend money per month on pens. Maybe you're going to go to a pen show, and so it's easier for you to just say, I'm going to drop this much money at the pen show. That's fine. I know for me, I get the shopping bug. I want a new bottle of ink. I shop for ink and pens. I don't shop for clothes. So, for me, it's important to be able to say, okay, I'm going to have this much per month, and that works better for me, even if I'm not going to spend that much per month, actually. So number one, pick a realistic number. Number two, tell other people what your number is. Me as a blogger, I'm telling you guys. Tell someone else to hold you accountable. If you're a dieter, if you've been on diets and stuff before, that's one of the keys to being successful is to have people holding you accountable. Same for a budget. Me as a blogger, I'm telling you guys. Tell your other pen friends if you feel like they would be interested. Tell your family members. I can't tell you how many times I've seen on the forums or something someone saying, oh, I just bought such and such a new pen and my husband or wife is going to be so pissed when it gets here, because I didn't tell them, or I'm going to have to hide it from them and keep it a secret. Or any kind of spending like that where you're keeping it a secret from your spouse or your family. Not healthy. So, sit down and discuss it with your spouse or life partner or whoever. I'm pretty sure I've told my boyfriend what my budget is, and I've been very honest with him about what my budget is, partly because it's coming out of my money. So, it doesn't impact us paying the rent. It comes out of my money, but still, it's something that's important to be honest with the people in your life about. So tell someone else so that they can hold you accountable. So that, if like for me, my budget's $600, and if all of a sudden I have two Viscontis or something rolling in, or a Mont Blanc or something, my boyfriend would be like, "What are you doing?" So tell someone and have them hold you accountable if you're really worried about sticking to your budget. So that was number two. Number three, make a plan for big purchases. So, like I said, think about it in terms of a per month, but let's say you want to save up for a couple of months and buy something big. So let's say for me, I maybe want a new vanishing point, right? So it's roughly $150. That's 3 months worth of saving up my monthly budget. So make a plan for that, right? If I say, okay, well, I want to have that, let's say by the beginning of summer, I could either, let's say if I want to buy that at the beginning of June. Okay, well, I could either use June, May's, and August's full 3 months all together, which means that I have to be super disciplined and not buy anything during those months, which will be hard. Or I could go ahead and use the first 6 months of the year, put away $25 each month, and then spend the other $25, buy myself a bottle of ink or whatever. And I've still saved up the same amount of money, except it's over 6 months instead of over 3 months. Or if you're going to be going to a pen show, like I'm hopefully doing later, think about that. Or maybe there's something coming at the end of the year. I think the limited edition Vanishing Points sometimes come out at the end of the year, or maybe there's another limited edition pen that you're interested in that will come out towards the end. Or for me, I ordered a Hobonichi for this year. I plan on getting another one next year. And I plan on I want the option of maybe getting a nicer cover for mine instead of just the really basic one. So that means, okay, well, I need roughly $100, let's say, to be put away so I can order Hobonichi then. So think about bigger purchases like that. I'd say anything that's maybe more than 10%, or maybe more than a monthly amount even, so more than 12%. Of your yearly budget is something that you should think about and plan for, because that will help to keep you from running out of money mid-year, or it will help to keep you from making silly purchases that later you're going to be like, oh, why did I do that? Now I can't buy, this thing. So keep in mind that, there will be more things later in the year. Don't blow your entire budget in the spring. And that brings me to number 4. And this is something that I'm doing, and I don't know if this will help anyone else, but this is an idea I had to help me stick to my budget, at least right now, when my budget is still in the hundreds of dollars versus maybe, hopefully, someday when I'm doing better with my life and I can think about spending thousands of dollars, then I don't have to. Anyway, so my idea was focusing my acquisition habits. I don't want to say collection because I don't collect pens, I use pens. But I want to focus how I acquire new pens, because pens are the biggest cost. A bottle of Noodler's ink is $12. A bottle of nicer ink is maybe 30 tops, which I don't tend to buy. I tend to ask for those as birthday presents. So the ink that I usually buy is pretty cheap, especially if I'm buying ink samples or something. So pens are the big ticket items. So I've decided to focus my acquisition. I thought about, okay, what do I have currently? I have a couple of, Safaris. I have an All Sport. I just got a Preppy as part of one of those giant Noodler's bottles for Christmas. I have a, super disposable eyedropper pen. I have another cheapo pen that I use for doing some ink reviews. I have a Vanishing Point. I have a TWSBI. I have a good spectrum of pens. I've covered a lot of the different kinds of pens that you can have. And so now I'm like, okay, I don't need to be doing this anymore. I don't need to be acquiring every new shiny thing that comes along, And so I've really started to think, okay, what do I like? I like Safaris. Hey, look, one right here. I like Safaris. I especially like the limited edition colors, and this is really bright in the sunlight. I know a lot of people aren't crazy about the neons. I love the neons. So I decided I'm going to keep collecting Safaris. I'm going to, I think I got one. Well, I got one this past year for my birthday. I'll probably ask for another one next year for my birthday, because they're pretty low price and pretty hard to go wrong. So I don't feel weird asking for those as gifts, especially because my family always is like, "What do you want?" It's an easy thing to tell them. So safaris are something I will continue to acquire because, gotta catch them all. And then the other pen that I'm going to continue to acquire is Vanishing Points. And I happen to have that one right here. I got rid of one of mine, I gave it to my older brother, passed it along to him because it needed a new nib and I didn't want to spend money on a new nib, so he bought a new nib for it because I wasn't crazy about the color of it anyway. So I'm down to one Vanishing Point, which is my matte black one, which I love. I would like another. So I'm probably going to pick up one of those over this next year. But basically, I've decided to keep my collection to Vanishing Points and safaris, or keep my acquisition to Vanishing Points and safaris. Because, while I love the idea of getting, TWSBI 580, I don't really, there's a lot of things I also don't like about those pens. I don't like the fact that it has a twist cap. I don't like that it has, this or that. I'm not crazy about plastic pens unless they're super cheap like safaris. So I have to think about things like that and focus my acquisition so that I can use my budget most efficiently. I'm going to say, okay, I really like the Vanishing Points because they're a click pen, they're easy to use, they fit well into my lifestyle, and I happen to really enjoy writing with them. Done. I'm going to say, okay, I really like safaris. They're cheap, they're portable, they're easy to use, they're something I don't feel bad about letting someone else try out. Done. I'm going to keep using those. And that's really all I need. So if you're one of those people who maybe, you were like me and you were kind of in your first kind of year and a half of using fountain pens and you were like, must buy all the pens, that's great. But maybe it's time to slow it on down. Really focus what you're going to buy, and that will help you stick to your budget versus just buying the next new shiny thing every single time you see it, because you're going to blow through a lot of money, and unless you're really good at reselling those pens, it ultimately probably won't benefit you. If you're just starting out, by all means, buy all the pens, or buy a lot of cheap pens and figure out what you like, and then invest in a few more expensive pens. But I'd say, okay, so to recap, my 4 kind of thoughts on how to make a budget and help keep your budget for this year. 1, pick a realistic number, and to do that, I suggest thinking in terms of how much would you like to spend per month, and then multiplying that by 12. Tell other people what your budget is, especially your family members and spouse. Have someone hold you accountable so that you will stick to your budget. Make a plan for big purchases, especially ones that might happen later in the year, so that you don't run out of money before then. And focus your collection so that you don't spend a lot of money on just novelty items, and you actually can put your money on things that you will enjoy and use and want, and feel good about purchasing. So I hope that was helpful. I don't know, maybe this was just rambling, but I felt like, it's the beginning of the year. Some people might be thinking about this kind of stuff. So maybe that helps, maybe it doesn't. If nothing else, that's me being super accountable, and I might check in later and kind of let you guys know kind of how this is going, how my budget's going, because I don't want to hide things. This is, I'm pretty much an open book, and I don't like the idea of bloggers hiding things from, their audience. If you guys want to know how much I spend on pens, you can know how much I spend on pens, because if it's embarrassing or something that I feel like I shouldn't say, then I probably shouldn't be spending that much. So, yeah. So that's roughly 14 minutes of honesty for me. By the way, repping my undergrad, UW River Falls, it's the University of Wisconsin. I just moved closer back to them, but that's not the reason I'm wearing this shirt. These are shirts from our Society of Physics students. It was a club that we had, and every year we'd put out these kind of funny joke shirts, and this one, I forget which one I'm actually wearing today, and I hope that this will, but this is the spherical horse one, so it's basically, why do physicists ride spherical horses? Yes, they're harder to saddle, but the math is so much easier. So it's a physics joke. If you don't get it, that's okay. But yeah, it's my spherical horse shirt. I love them. These are my favorite shirts. So, all right, well, that's it for me. I'm going to try and get this uploaded by the end of the day and try and get some more actual blog posts written up and some more videos recorded soon. I'm kind of getting back into my groove, and my apartment's getting clean, so things are going to happen. Things are going to get rolling again. All right, see you guys later. Have a good weekend, and yeah, bye.